Hello, assalamu alaikum everybody. Hope you're all safe, sound, and healthy. And it is 11:31 a.m. It is the 2nd of July 2024. And after a very, very long time, I'm actually able to sit down in a little bit of peace. The weather's been horrible, absolutely horrible. It seems as if now we will be having monsoonal season throughout the year as long as summer persists, because that's what it always seems. It's like we've been hit with humidity and heat right from the month of May, and it's July. Now, officially, as you know, in countries like ours where there's monsoon season, monsoon hits in July and goes all the way to August. So you basically have two, almost 2.5 months of monsoonal weather or season. It's actually a season. So, but the fact is that this past decade actually, what I've noticed is that we have at least 1 or 2 years in a row of winters leading immediately to humid, absolute balmy summers, and then it goes all the way down to November, where again then you're ready to meet with winter. And in between there's just a year. After 2 years there's 1 year in which it sort of seems to reset or rectify itself, and you actually get a bit of spring, you actually get a bit of summer, then you get towards monsoon, and then you go towards autumn, but then again crash back into this absolute hellish weather. And this is this year. So because last year was a bit better, but then we ended up with extremely harsh winter weather, and then followed by immediately extremely harsh, humid summer. I mean, seriously, give us a break already. I've had enough. And the worst part is that I really don't understand how the clouds actually manage to hang on to their bladders. I mean, the amount of perspiration, the amount of humidity, the amount of moisture in the air, it's so much. You're literally wet with it. Okay, you're wet, you're slick, you're sweating, you're literally melting, and it is so wet, and you're like wondering, I swear, I mean, it really, bravo to the clouds that they've managed to just, I mean, they would have heaved it all out, a long time ago, the amount of moisture we have in the air. It should be raining every single freaking day. But no, we have months on end, and then we don't have proper rains, at least not on my side. I think we've got extra sinners in my part of the city where it hardly rains. But then, okay, finally it rained properly yesterday in the morning, but that just ended up with having the most humid, horrid day ever, again followed by a breezy, cool night, which doesn't say much because it's lovely outside, but it's amazing how the more lovely it is outside, the hotter and more humid it is inside. Yeah, it's just weird. Everything's an oxymoron here. The whole country's an oxymoron. The people are oxymorons. The weather is an oxymoron. It's amazing. This whole nation is an oxymoron right on its own. And so yeah, so the reason why I haven't been able to, or why I haven't bothered to, I mean, I don't think it's botheration really. It's more like there was nothing much to say in terms of what's going on in the country, except for the absolute hellish weather in which every single person in this country is like ready to just drop dead, or just kill somebody else off. The heat waves have been really bad. And Karachi, which never gets hot. Now, Karachi, because it's basically a coastal area, it's by the sea. It should never really get hot. But this time, Karachi went all the way up to 42 degrees. Now, 42 degrees is generally Lahore's heat. So you can imagine that if Karachi went all the way to 42, where did Lahore go? Lahore has been going all the way up to 46 and 48. And if Lahore is going all the way to 46 and 48, which is the original temperature of Sibi, which is the hottest place in Pakistan, where literally animals and people die because of the heat, over there it means it has reached 50 plus. So you can imagine this is how the degrees, and again, I would give all the credit of transforming Lahore from a green city, a naturally green city, into this hellhole. I give all the credit to Nawaz Sharif and Shabazz Sharif and and their minions, their goons, that they just had to earn kickbacks, they just had to earn corrupt money, and they decided to just tamper with our already absolutely beautiful, well-made roads in the canal, which were well shaded by very old, very tall, very rare trees. Okay, they cut them all down, they sold them for a penny. They got all their profits out of the trees alone, and then they encroached upon the green belt of the societies and the university, because most of the green belt in this area belongs to the university, Punjab University. They encroached upon that, they cut down the trees, and most of these green belts, they were really wide, and they had fruit trees and groves, and and they just ate up into all of that. And this is just this part of Lahore alone. The other side of Lahore, all the way where the canal road goes throughout the city, they tampered with the greenery. And so our area, which was always at least 2 to 3 degrees cooler, now seems to be 5 to 8 degrees hotter. Okay, and where it was always raining, whenever it rained in the city, whether it rained or not, it would rain here properly. Now it hardly rains. And the worst part is that even within our society, within our housing society, whenever the people in the management, or whenever just anybody, any resident of the society decides to, okay, do a plantation drive, I've always wondered, why is it that every year we do a plantation drive? You would think that if you've planted 100 trees this year in just this small housing society, you wouldn't need to plant any other trees again. And yet every year we're having plantation drives, and I found out finally why. And that is because the gardeners, no less. Now imagine, just listen to this: the gardeners, whose job it is to preserve plants, whose job it is to take care of greenery, whose job it is to help increase the lifespan of plants and vegetables and trees and fruits, and these very gardeners are the ones who have been chopping down these trees and taking them away to sell them. I mean, it's already shocking enough that the people living up north, which is filled with natural forests, filled, absolutely filled, the northern area of Pakistan is nothing if not green. And to see that the locals of those areas have been chopping down their trees mercilessly and not growing them, even though there's a law up in the north where you cannot cut down more than a certain number of trees per month, and if you do, then you will be fined and probably even jailed. And yet there are the locals over there that trespass into other lands, or into places where they feel they can get away with it, and they chop down trees very mercilessly, and they don't replant any. And it actually even peed my father off, and he's because some of our so-called neighbors up north, they, for the past 9 years, they've been trespassing into our land, and they've been cutting down trees without our permission, and those are fruit trees. And my dad was like, how dare you in the first place trespass into our country, into our land? And number two, if you actually dare to do that, if you really wanted your tree to cut down the trees, if you really wanted to use them to burn, you know, for your fire, or to get heat or whatever, the least you could do is to plant another one in its place. And they're like, oh, it costs us a few hundred rupees. My dad is like, you just chopped down a tree that is worth thousands of rupees, but you cannot plant a new tree that's worth a few hundred. Seriously? If I was there, I would have just smacked them to bits, really. There's one thing that I just cannot understand is that Imran Khan moved the whole world, including India and Europe. India and Europe and Australia and, America, they all literally started following Imran Khan's Billion Trees project. And what did these people do after Imran Khan was illegally ousted is they started impeding on that project. And they started cutting down many of those trees as well. Like, what the frack? So this is what I'm saying. Our whole nation, that is why I always blame the people of this country, that we are where we are today because of the people, not just the government. You can't just blame the government. The government, as it is in the Quran, is the people who govern you are from amongst you. So they reflect whoever and whatever you are. They truly represent you. So if you are good people, you will get good governance. If you are not good people, you will not get good governance. It's as simple as that. So there we are. We are not good people. Okay, and that is a fact. Okay, I don't care what anybody wants to say here, but it is a fact that Desis are not good people. Okay, we're not good people, and we're not honest people, and we are corrupt to the core because this country was hijacked by traitors right off the bat. The British ensured that Qaid-e-Azam would never get away with having an independent, a sovereign state. And they not only managed to get him killed when he could have easily been saved, but the same people, the same traitors that they had planted within the army, actually had the gall to accuse Qaid-e-Azam's sister, who is the mother of the country. Qaid-e-Azam and his sister are known as the father and the mother of this country because they built this country. How dare you tell the owner, the actual owners of the land, who've actually given you the land, who've actually made this land, how dare you call them traitors? They actually had the gall to call Fatma Jinnah traitor. And that can tell you that in that language in itself could have told anybody that it's the British speaking. Because to the British, anybody who managed to get away and make their own land and who did not lick the British ass are traitors to the British, right? But to us, the real traitors are those who licked the British ass. So here we are. We are hijacked by the British ass licking traitors who hijacked this country literally as soon as it was formed. So from 1948 onwards, this country had gone to the dogs. And again, it's our people's fault. If we hadn't stopped them right from the start, when they attacked the very founders of the country, we wouldn't have been where we are today. We would have actually gone a very long way. As I said, this is no longer the Pakistan where the blueprints of which were borrowed and stolen by other countries like Korea, Indonesia, Malaysia, China. Look at them. Look at where they are today. All thanks to Pakistan's plans. 10-year plans, 20-year plans, all thanks to Pakistan's plans, which Pakistan itself never implemented. But all the other countries that took those plans from Pakistan implemented it. And look at where they are today, and look at where we are. And again, it's because we were hijacked by traitors. So yeah, I'm coming to this point because people would probably think that, oh, why aren't you doing a podcast on, the judges? They are actually like, listen, I'm not going to pat the judges in the back for finally, trying to fight against the establishment, the illegal government, the illegality of the establishment, the government, and the army. No, the reason why I will never pat them on the back is, but they created this mess. It will go down in history that the Supreme Court and its fellow high courts judiciary were heftily involved in this whole charade, okay? The ousting of the legitimate government, the destabilization of democracy, the destabilization of the constitution and the parliament. They are the ones that rocked the boat. Okay, as the judiciary is directly involved in all of it. They created this mess. Well, you know what? It's their duty now to fix the shit. It's their shit. They need to fix it. I'm not going to pat them on the back for finally realizing that they need to fix the shit that they made. Why should I? Why should anyone? I'm not going to go around saying, oh, Justice Sattar did this and Athar Minallah did this. And no, it's your mother freaking duty, okay? You caused this shit. You fix it. It's as simple as that. And in this boiling heat, and with the government constantly looking for ways to steal from us, literally steal from us, it's not like any of that money is going to go back to the IMF, and the IMF knows it. So why is it that the IMF is working with them to increase our taxes and to steal from us? I don't know. Obviously, it's because America does not want Pakistan to survive as a country. When you're talking IMF, you're talking America. It's as simple as that. So obviously, there, as I said before, I told everyone about how I would predict terrorism, I would predict terror incidents, I would predict massive scale theft, and I would predict unrest and instability. And this is all going to be done by the army, by the establishment, by the government, just so that they can somehow maintain control over the country and the people, so that they can be able to manipulate everything according to America's wishes. And that's why also I do not give a hoot about America's, their congressmen voting on how the elections in Pakistan have been tampered. You don't need to vote for that. You're the ones who directly caused this all. America is the one that tampered with Pakistan's government. America is the one that tampered with Pakistan's elections. America's interference even now is so obvious. The way they try to dictate our foreign policies, the way they try to, make us enemies of friends and make friends of enemies. I mean, it's so obvious. And now America suddenly just to, as I told you, this is a very, very old pattern of America where, it creates the shit and then it backs off, on plausible deniability. But I'm sorry, but America cannot use its plausible deniability clause here anymore because it's so obvious how they did it. They did everything. And now they're just suddenly pretending to, to be out of the whole thing and out of the loop and saying that, oh, yeah, no, we vote against the government of Pakistan. We know it's illegal. Yeah, well, screw you. It's your government. You're the ones that brought it here. So screw you. I mean, the sheer hypocrisy of the Western world, where it has caused chaos all over the world. If you want world peace, I'll say it again, if you want world peace, disable and dismantle America and Europe, and you've got world peace. If you trace it all the way back to history, the core cause of all conflicts, all chaos, all wars has always been the Western world. It has always been America. It has always been Europe. Dismantle them, disable them, cripple them, and you've got world peace. And I can guarantee you that. No questions asked. So, I'm not going to talk about the judges and celebrate their, they're doing their freaking job, okay? They caused this mess. They worked with the traitors to cause this mess. It's their duty to fix it. And our people, as I said, in this boiling heat and with everything going on and with the government trying to increase our taxes and trying to steal from us in every single possible illegitimate, not even legitimate, but illegitimate ways. I mean, and the people are still not having a revolution here. I mean, what does that tell you about our people? Again, I'll say it, having a few riots and protests here and there, no, it's not going to do anything. The northern areas are very active. This is the first time in the history of Pakistan where the northern areas are constantly active. But Punjab is absolutely shameless. I'm sorry, but all those Punjabis out there, and I am a Punjabi too, so I have every right to say this. All the Punjabis that have been talking about how they're such a great race and great ethnicity, and they're, I'm sorry, but you are useless pieces of shit. That is the only reason why only in Punjab were women harassed, the elderly, the children, why people were kidnapped, why people were killed. Nobody even dared to do that in the northern areas. And in Sindh, they didn't have too much because they pretty much already have Sindh under the control. But the fact that Punjabis have just proved themselves by whatever has happened in these past 2 years to the women, the children, the elderly. So I'm sorry, but you are the most shameless, the most beghairat nation I have ever seen in my entire life. What about your Jats and your Iranians, and at the end you're all Beghairat? That's as simple as F. So that's all I'm going to say, because as I said, in this heat, if I am boiling, if everybody else is boiling, um, why haven't they all upped and killed these people already? I don't know. It's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing. No wonder they just do whatever they want. They know they can get away with it. Well, and this is me signing out, hoping that the weather forecast will actually live true to its name and that we will actually have rains almost every day throughout the week. Although I don't see any rain here today, but yeah, night time. I'm expecting night time. But let's see. Let's see what happens. Apparently, officially, monsoon has begun this week. But as far as I'm concerned, monsoon began in May, keeping in mind the levels of humidity we've had to bear. Well, I hope people will actually learn to have some sense of dignity and some shame, some self respect, be they of the Western world that are causing all these problems all over the world, that have been killing Palestinians, that have been killing Kashmiris, that have been working with tyrants, that have been working with criminals. I do really hope that God gives your brains a direction in life, as do I hope that He would give some direction to the people of Pakistan, although I highly doubt it. I highly doubt that God is ever going to give anybody anything at the moment. So, this is me signing out. Khuda Hafiz.